All right, welcome back to Resilient Voices and Beyond. I'm so excited for this episode today. I have a very cool person on. I'm not gonna geek their head up too much, but they're really cool. I've worked closely with this person over the last couple months. And advocacy, but also doing some work within child welfare, and I got to learn a lot about them. But before we get into the depths of that, I will be remiss if I do not thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for supporting not only me, but the guests that I've had on here by reaching out, connecting with them, whether it has been giving them opportunities to advocate or, speak or what have you, or supporting their books, supporting their businesses, whatever it may be. I really thank you from the bottom and the top of my heart for you guys doing that. And just thank you for the kind comments that you guys give me. If you have stumbled across this podcast, this episode, and you don't know who I am, how you got here, what you're doing, that's okay. My name is Michael D. Davis Thomas, aka MDDT Speaks. I've spent approximately 11 years in the Michigan child welfare system, half of that on the juvenile side, a small bit of that being a dual ward, and then the last half of that being in the foster care side. After aging out, I started to work in youth corrections, juvenile, youth care work, and residential facilities, doing program development, a little bit of case management, you name it, I've dipped my toe in it, which is why I'm here today talking to you guys. So y'all know I'm not talking out the side of my neck. I have a little bit of experience, lived and professional, but you guys aren't here for me. You guys are here for my guests. So without further ado, I'm gonna have my guest introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Alexia Roberts. I am a foster care advocate and I have lived expertise. I was personally in foster care myself. I now have two children and I'm hoping to get my degree in social work and being able to help as much youth as I can. And I just want to thank you so much again for having me on here.
No problem, no problem. I appreciate you. My first question is a deep dive, to get to know you a little bit more, get to know the timeline of events from your then to your now. So, to the best of your ability, help us understand a little bit more of your story and your journey through care, and what that looked like. What were some of the barriers? What were some of the obstacles and adverse experiences that you had that helped you be who you are today in advocacy?
Well, I definitely feel like it was a struggle growing up, and I feel like that's what makes me want to help youth so much. I personally had parents who were drug addicts, so it was hard being so young and having to cope with everything and try to focus on school and focus on the important elements of life and just being a kid. I I struggled a lot with forgiving them really, but I still don't have the best relationship with them to this day, although I hope to look forward to that. But when I was 12 years old, I was placed into the foster care system. I was with my grandma sometimes. She had temporary guardianship of me, but she was like not really so much doing it to help me. She was doing it just for the funds they were giving her. So she would like kick me out all the time and make me go stay other places. So I would be very young, trying to figure out where to stay, going to friend's house, like just figuring it out. But every time it was like a meeting or the worker would come, she would make me come back to her house. So, just to give her a little text. But
Got a full
yeah,
refrigerator and
eventually,
everything.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I just said, and got a full refrigerator and everything. The whole show came on.
Definitely. But, and then after that, she kind of like made me stay there for like probably a couple of months and made me go to a school in Taylor. And then when I was about 16, I got pregnant with my son and she found out and she was not happy about it. So she kicked me out and I went to a foster home. which I remained in the foster home my whole pregnancy, which was very difficult because foster homes are not always like the best, especially being pregnant and growing a child and not being able to have say in like what you're eating, what you're doing, where you're at. Like it's not the best. But I definitely came a long way after that. When I aged out of the system at 18, I got my own place and just tried to do the most that I could for my child. And now I have another child. So I have two boys and I'm doing well. I have a 3-bedroom house and I'm just very excited to see what I can help other foster youth with.
Definitely. I appreciate you being so open and vulnerable and sharing that. I have a couple questions, um, about, your journey and what you just shared with us, So, um, because I don't want to get it twisted, and I don't want the audience to get it twisted. Was there no accommodation, no resources that was given in behalf of you being pregnant in that home?
Resources regarding to what exactly?
Like you spoke about, you didn't have no say over food or anything like that. So like I know in some aspects, even in correctional facilities, they give individuals who pregnant in those facilities, snacks, they give them like prenatal vitamins, all the different things that they may need and everything like that. So I just want to get a sense of what did that look like as far as the resources and the needs that you needed at that time being pregnant in this, you said it was a group home.
No, definitely. They didn't really offer me anything special. It wasn't like no extra snacks, but they were like kind of very strict about like when we ate and when we ate. So we all ate like in the kitchen at the same time.
Mm.
Like at in the morning, it was like 7 in the morning, and then lunch and then dinner at 6. Like it was like very strict. But and then that was really it. But and then they was like they wouldn't let you drink anything else but water. But I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It's just not necessarily what you would want, especially if you're pregnant. You do have like certain cravings and stuff, and it sucks because you can't necessarily always accommodate to those. So,
Mm.
but that's just more of like wants. It's not necessarily such a bad thing.
Definitely, definitely. Um, Appreciate you clarifying that because I didn't want to assume, anything, but also, just like you mentioned, when an individual is pregnant, whether they're young or older, um, there's a level of flexibility that has to be given and supporting that individual and helping that individual grow that child. Your happiness, your positivity, means a lot, as we both know, coming from, traumatic experiences and different things like that. And I was talking with someone earlier today, and I was recording, and they were talking about how trauma develops, like, something as small as if you would have experienced, being deprived certain foods and stuff like that, that could impact emotionally, imprint emotionally on your child. And that, that yes, so that's why I asked that question. But switching gears, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Um, what does self-care and mental health look like for you? And has any different things changed versus then and now?
um, I would definitely say mental health at that time in my life was not important to me. It was not really an aspect. I didn't take care of myself that way. And I would definitely say that did like affect me growing up. When I was 12, the reason I actually got placed into foster care, I got took before all of my siblings. But I got took because I was depressed. So I tried to do something and I ended up having to go to a mental hospital for some time. And then when I got released, they told me I was not allowed to go back to my parents. So it wasn't really anything I thought about. I didn't really, it was so much going on in my life that I was not able to focus on me. But as I got older, like I realized when I had children that it was really important to focus on that because if I'm not happy, then how am I going to be able to keep my kids happy? It's a
Right.
definitely important factor in life.
Definitely, definitely. So you are how old now?
I'm 19 right now.
You're 19. So a year ago you aged out. And a lot has happened, a lot has transpired in this time. You're advocating now, you're speaking up, you're part of the TLE. I don't know what this other one was. I read it, but E something F help me.
It's EFY Tech. It's EFY Tech. It's
Like
it's empowering foster youth through technology. And I'm also a part of Microworks, which is an entrepreneurship business.
you something else, because I'm looking at you like I need help, and you
I'm so sorry about that.
no, you good. No. Okay, so tell
I
me.
would be so disappointed right now that you didn't know it.
Look, no, because when you start to say it, I know it now, but I didn't know the acronyms, and that was horrible because I should. So hopefully, grace, love. um, Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about each one. What does that look like? What does that entail, and how has it helped you grow? In whatever way.
I'm sorry, just to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. What
So
factors?
you are a part of the TLE, and I'm the technical program, the tech, and then you said something about the micro works program.
Yes, definitely. I would say these groups really, if it wasn't for EFY Tech, personally, I would not have gotten to foster care advocate. It's not because it's not something that I wasn't passionate about. It's just not really something I was open to. I didn't know about it. I didn't have the resources to say, like, here, let's go do this and change the youth world, you know? But now I feel like, especially being in EFY Tech, it has gave me so many opportunities, which actually EFY Tech is the reason I was able to join TLE. I would not have heard about it if it was not for Saba. And also Microworks, I was able to join because of EFY Tech too. So I would definitely say it was the start of everything for me. And Miss Saba has personally been so helpful in getting me along my journey. She's the reason I got back into school, graduated, applied to college, everything. So I would definitely say it changed my life. I feel like I would not be in the place I am being able to afford my own home, my own vehicle, provide for my two children by myself. I would not be able to do that without doing all of this, honestly.
That's amazing. It truly is. I can relate to that in so many ways. I wasn't a part of the EFY Tech. I wrote it down program, but I know Saba very well. She's a wonderful woman, a strong advocate for children in the state of Michigan. And I'm truly happy to, call her a champion in this fight. I had MYOY, and that hit a little bit different because MYOY back in my day, it was youth ran. We had some very strong people who aren't coordinators today, but they've helped me be the man that I am today. And I'm continuing to grow through the words that they have said to me. So I'm truly grateful for that. And I'm grateful to hear that there was a program that helped support you in your growth. I want to switch gears one more time. um, so you've talked about your advocacy and your experience. You talked about, how you got to your mother, and I don't know what family relations look like or what does that life look like, but coming from where you've come from, has there been moments in your motherhood that you've thought about things, or are you like, oh, I got to do this differently, and what has that looked like in those moments?
Now, I would definitely say there have been so many moments. It is so hard, especially becoming a mother and being so young, and then not only doing it by yourself. It's very challenging, and it makes me overlook every single decision I make. Everything I go to do, I instantly have to think, how is this going to reflect my children? So I definitely say it's a huge factor because I feel like I probably wouldn't be as responsible as I am if I didn't have two children. So I don't know. I just feel like it's honestly keeps me on my toes. But yeah, I don't know. That's really all I can say about that. It is very challenging though. It makes you look at everything differently. You have to budget everything.
It's definitely, I'm not a parent, but I get to see because I'm friends with a lot of people who are young parents. I get the privilege of seeing your journey, through working with you, and I definitely can see that it takes a lot of strength, so I commend you for that, especially, not having a guidebook, not having all the tools, and having to be like a resource broker for yourself and finding those different things to be able to connect. So definitely commend you for that. Um,
Yeah, I would definitely say it's it's a lot. Like when, especially being in foster care, you don't have parents really. Like, I mean, you may still have parents and whatever, everyone's situation is different, but you don't necessarily always have that bond where you can just call and what am I supposed to do? Like, I need help with this. I need this. This is going on in my life. It's not really like me. I didn't really have much support. So it's like really hard. And then like having children, you have to figure out everything. And then it's like, especially being in foster care when you don't have the best parents or guardians to look up to, it's like, I don't want to do this and ruin my child. Like, especially being so traumatized, you have to put all of that to the side and bring your happiness so your children doesn't see all of that, because if you're sad, they're going to be sad too, and nobody wants their kids to be sad. So definitely, I my brother recently passed away about 6 months ago, and it's been really hard. And I would definitely say when you have a lot going on and you have children, you still have to wake up every day and do everything and just put all of your emotions on pause. It's a lot to grasp, but I feel like if you have the right coping resources and stay positive and motivated on the right things, then you will definitely cope through it. It's just all a matter of time.
Definitely. I'm sorry to hear that about your brother. Um, you're still at the cusp of your journey, via 19. You gotta look, and I'm saying it like I'm really old, y'all. Like I'm only 26. But trauma make you feel old. Like make you feel like you've been through some things. Um, but you're still on the cusp of like this life journey for yourself. You spoke about some of the goals of going to Wayne State University, doing social work. What inspires you um to pursue that? Especially you've been through the system. Did you have a positive worker or not so good worker? Like, and I'm not telling you to call nobody out. Let me say that. Let me put that disclaimer out. But what drives you to want to do this, to pursue?
Really, I'm gonna be so honest. I was originally going to go to Western and I was
Mm-hmm.
going to be a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, I have been doing a lot of advocate work, and especially being part of the TLE,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of other groups that I'm in. It's just really like brought out a passion in me that I really didn't even know I had. So it's like, I don't know, and I feel like it's just so easy to want to help because I have been there. I haven't had a good social worker ever. Like they were all terrible. So I
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what I would want, like what a foster youth would want in a social worker. And then not only that, I just want to, it's crazy looking from years ago to now how much has changed in the system. And I definitely want to be a part of the future change because we can make great things happen for the youth. And we all need to get on board because it's happening.
With or without you. Look, the train ain't gonna
That
stop
part.
going. I love that so much. I went through a similar experience. I first started out school going to criminal justice, wanted to be a cop. Then they told me I had to cut my hair, and I said nope. Because and there's a lot of great cops out there, and there's a lot of bad cops too. But we're not gonna get into that conversation for another day. But for me, I couldn't understand what my hair, which for me, my hair is part of my culture, a part of my heritage. It's the one thing that I could control while being in the system. Um,
Definitely.
so I didn't understand what my hair had to do with me being able to enforce and be a community broker as a police officer. I didn't understand that those two things still, I don't get that. It don't connect for me. But somebody else may be able to help me out in the audience later on, be like, Michael, this is why, until I get that connection, I don't understand it. So I end up going from being that to, oh, I'm gonna be a lawyer. Now, I stayed in that avenue for a while, wanted to be a lawyer to work my way up to be a judge. Um, and then I just realized, sitting in the classrooms, a lot of people in the classroom that had skewed views, and I was like, do I really want to work with these people who, you know, their views are so stagnant and everything? And I went from there to social work, psychology in that space, and I sat there for a while, and then I got to watch from being an NYOY and other workers doing advocacy throughout that time, how how much red tape. And this is not to skew you away, because look, go towards your passion. Go towards your passion. Um, and I was like, this still don't feel like it's my spot. And I'm a person of faith. And I feel like God kept closing those doors for me through examples, and it led me to political science, law and society, still in that law a little bit, but navigating it in a pursuit to, do some micro work in the aspect of policy, legislation, and different things like that. So I'm still on my journey of school. Navigating school, work, and life is hard. I'm still pursuing school. There's been times I have to put it on pause. I've stopped out of school, but that's my journey. Um, Stay on. Let's come back around full circle. Um, you've talked about, your childhood, what self care looks like, and this, that, and the third. Um, I have another question. If you're comfortable answering this question, so I know for us as individuals coming from the system, relationships and relationship building can be extremely hard. I know for myself, 18, 19, 20, it, it it was an experience navigating some relationships, and different things like that, to say the least. um what has that been like for you, because we carry some baggage, we carry some scars and stuff like that. But ultimately, our goal is to be healthy with ourselves, love ourselves, be secure, but also to find that person or people. And I'm not just saying romantic relationships, I'm talking about friendships, I'm talking about family ships, So what has that looked like for you coming out of care? Um, you know, being a young mother too.
Honestly, it is already so difficult just off being a parent. Like, just off being a parent, that adds so many barriers because you don't want to introduce people into your children's life, whether that be, this doesn't even have to be like romantically, whether that be friendships, anything. You don't want to introduce people to your children and then have to take them away from them, or have to, like, take somebody out of their life. And it's definitely that traumatizes people. It really does. And um relationship romantically, I would definitely say it is difficult. We have some baggage. Yes, we do. So, yeah, that's a terrible one. I feel like when you don't always have the best role models to watch, especially when you don't get to see a loving, healthy relationship every day. It's very hard to maintain one. And then along with how you feel about yourself. If you're not happy with yourself and how your life is going, and if you don't love yourself, it's going to be very hard to do that with somebody else. You definitely have to make sure you and your mental are on point before you start being in all these relationships. Definitely, I would say that.
And, you know,
And I would also like to say, I'm sorry, but just one more thing. When being in a relationship and going through the system and so much, I feel like people silently look at you differently or judge you once they hear you've been in foster care. They definitely like look at that like, oh, you've been in foster care. That's a label. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just how I feel.
definitely, definitely. I've had some, this may be TMI, but hey, excuse me. We here together, on this journey. You guys have heard so much about my life. So, I've navigated, the system, and part of being in a whole bunch of different placements and facilities, one of the side effects, scars, if you call it, is some of the people I've dated would call it therapy. So I've been through so many group sessions, so many, support sessions, all these different things. Some of that stuff is like ingrained in me. So I'm not an argumentative person. And there's been some relationships. I remember some when I was around like 18, 19, that, I've always had a mentality of maturity about myself. There's very few relationships that were like toxic or anything like that. I've had some, all right, now, how did you get here, Michael moments. But I think back to that time, and I remember one specific relationship where a person kept saying, "Why you keep therapizing me?" And it's like, it wasn't that I was intentionally trying to do that, but it's just like when you have been in the system so long, you know, I learned that I'm not an argumentative person because I used to be before coming into the system. My family was very argumentative. I watched my family be single parents. I watched my mom and my dad divorce. There was just no real healthy, partnerships. So seeing that, I was like, that's not where I want to be. So I really soaked in all the different tips to how to speak to people healthy. So I took that to heart into the relationships, and some of the individuals um would judge me for trying to speak to them or trying to solve conflicts in the relationships in a healthy manner. Now, younger me used to be insecure and be like, dang, it's my fault. Get on me. I start to grow and it starts to be a pattern on people. It's like, it's not my fault that I'm coming to you and trying to solve this, like, okay, what you're saying is valid, this, that, and the third. And um you're not in a place to be able to receive um I guess that healthy response. And it was a
Right,
push
definitely.
it was a pushback for years for me dealing with people like that. Um Even now, this is real TMI. Y'all get all the tea. Even now, relationships, navigating them now. I've had someone I was dating a while back, and they I asked them because we got to a point where just schedules wasn't aligning. We both were working hard. It just, you know, life didn't work. Like, yeah, I think we should break up. Cool. All right. You know, um, and and I was just like, cool, all right, but why? Person said why. And then following that, I asked them, well, is there any feedback you have for me? Anything that I can do better or that I did not do? Person, now I know I'm not perfect. Person couldn't tell me any reason, anything like that that I did not do. So for me, in my journey of navigating relationships with family, friends, intimate relationships, um, that hit me hard because I'm like, I ain't do nothing while we here. Like, what's going on? Like, you can't tell me
No, definitely.
get wrong. What's going on? And I was sitting with myself with that for a while, but I had to realize that circling, because this was a long circle, so y'all gotta forgive me for the ramble. Circling back, that us as individuals who go through the child welfare system aren't the only people who have trauma. There's a lot of people who have not entered the child welfare system, who've been navigating life and have trauma in different ways, baggage in different ways. And, we're so used to being the people who've been at the front of the line, when it comes to, oh, you got this wrong with you, or this, that, the third. When we come into relationships, we're assuming that we're the only person with baggage. And I learned that lesson that I wasn't the only person. This person needed some healing too. This person needed some growth too. And that, that's what I came to with that, and it was more understandable, and I was able to give grace in that moment. But that's why I reflected that back, long story short. Um, but yeah, it's life be life. I have a couple more questions for you. And that'll be it. I'm gonna give you a day back to you. Um, but I thank you for your honesty and your openness. Um, what's next for you? I know you spoke about school. I know you talked about continue advocating, but like you said, you're 19. So what's next for you? You want some more kids? Like what's the plan? What you want to write a book? What's the plan for the future for you?
Recently, I actually have been thinking about writing a children's book just because I have children and I've been doing a lot of entrepreneurship classes, and I feel like that would be very good for me. I would also love to start a clothing line for children. And really, what's next for me, I would love to have more children. I want at least like six more. I personally have two right now. But I would love like six more. And then once my children reach the years of being a little independent and being in like middle school, high school area, I would love to foster. I really would love to open my home to anybody who needs it, honestly. I don't feel like I would be able to do it the best while my children are young because it's already a lot going on. So I would love to do it when my children are a little bit older so I'll be able to give more to the people I'm welcoming into my home. But yeah, I that is something I'm very passionate about. So I'm definitely going to be fostering children. And I would love to get my degree in social work and just start changing youth lives. And other than that, really, I don't know what's next for me. So the road gonna take us where the road gonna take us because life be life, and you said it yourself. It's crazy. Life is unpredictable.
Definitely, definitely. My next question for you is, what advice, what tips, tidbits would you, um, and let me specify. I want you can give any other advice because you can give some advice just for the audience, but I would love for you to give some advice to some of those young moms, young parents in general, um, that foster youth, whatever, just out there navigating life. But other than that, you can give any other advice. But I would love for you to give some specific advice to that particular group of people.
This is to the young mothers and fathers because there's actually a lot of young fathers out there recently. So I would just want to say all of you are doing amazing. It is hard with even one child, let alone multiple children. And navigating through life, raising a whole nother human being it's just give yourselves a clap on the back because we deserve rewards. We make it happen every day, no matter what we're feeling, no matter if we're sick, nothing, we make it happen. And I would just definitely like to say, keep pushing. It gets hard, especially being a parent. it's days you don't want to wake up and make breakfast. You don't want to go color at the table. You don't want to, like do basic stuff. You don't want to take your kids to the park. It's tiring sometimes, but I would definitely just say, just do it. You might be tired, but just do it. You're gonna look back and you're gonna think that you have done it. And I would definitely say, no matter how exhausted you get, just keep going, keep fighting, because there's always better. There's always more that we can keep doing. There's so much. And to young foster youth, I would like to say, do your research, because when I was in the system, I didn't know a lot about a lot of the rights I had, a lot of the resources available to me. I didn't know about MYOI. I didn't know about none of that, which if you're not an MYOI and you are a foster youth, please join that. That is amazing. It is an amazing program. If it's available to you, please join. And definitely, I would say, do your research, go to your court hearings. Don't let them push you out. Speak your voice and empower yourself, because we're going to keep lifting every foster youth up, and we want you to do the same to every foster youth.
Beautifully said. I can't say it any better. This last space is for any last comments, any way that people can connect with you after this. Whether you got a rap song, album, book, whichever, EP, feel free to share and let them know how they can connect with
Yes, you can add me on Facebook. My Facebook is Alexia Roberts. You can email me. It is robertsalexia1@gmail.com. And really, you can find me on any other platforms. My social medias are connected to my Facebook, so that would be the best way to find them, because some of the usernames are a little creative, let's say that. So that would probably be the best way. But thank you so much for having me on here, and I hope all of you have an amazing day and look forward to the future.
Truly, it's been an honor and a privilege having you on. As I get ready to end this podcast out, there may have been some things said here that may have triggered you, made you revisit some things in your own personal story. I just want to put a disclaimer out there, before you go anywhere else, whether you're listening to this on your way in the house, or you're already in the house, or you're on your way to work, you just take some time before you do that next activity to get yourself back to baseline, practice some mindfulness, do some deep breathing, if it's something that may have triggered you and you like, oh, Lord, I didn't even know I went through this, because sometimes people say things that trigger memories. If you want to start that journey of healing for yourself, want to start that journey of working through some things, feel free to reach out to me. I will be glad to help you find the resources in your area, whether that be a therapist, group support, whatever that may be, and what you need with that.
Definitely. I just wanted to say I agree with you. And if anybody is in need of anything or is just wanting to talk, vent, seek resources, I would love if you could contact me too. I would definitely open my ear, inbox, whatever. I'm here for everybody. And also, what you said, if everything is a lot, it's making you process everything. Let's all just take a deep breath really quick. Thank you.
No problem. I appreciate that so much. Also, I just want to make y'all aware, it's cold. It's getting colder outside. I said this early in other podcasts, but apparently it's snowing all over the country. There isn't no safe space from snow. Like it snows in California now. It snows in Texas, so everybody be safe. Cold flu season, COVID is still running around during the cold seasons. So please be safe. Get your hand sanitizer. Get your PPE mask, just be safe around this season. It takes all of us to take care of one another. One thing I want to say, because I haven't said in the last two, hand sanitizer does not supplement for you washing your hands. Hand sanitizer says we kill 99.9% of germs. So there still is a percentage of germs still left on your hands. So
Wash
please.
them hands. Wash them hands. We got children. We don't want to get sick. Wash your hands.
Man, especially if you have children in daycare, because a lot of people, their kids come from daycare with that stuff, So like, that's a whole other episode to talk. to talk about that. But just be safe out here. You know, I also want to say we all know somebody out there that for whatever reason we faded away. There's a lot of people suffering in silence. Um, we need to do a better job in checking on each other. So I just ask if you're listening to this, check on someone that you haven't checked on in a while. You know, tell them that you love them, tell them that you care about them. You know, genuinely. I'm not telling you to call no ex that's toxic. Y'all gotta had a bad breakup. Not telling anyone to call someone who was abusive to them. Truly, you know, use your discretion in this, but just you know, let's do a better job in being there for one another. Also, um, unfortunately, but fortunately, I have to let you guys know. I'm at a place with the podcast where I can no longer afford financially to pour from an empty cup. So I'm asking for you guys to support to help keep the podcast running. You know, I believe right now monthly it costs like $74 and something cents to keep it running. In the past, I've been able to supplement and pay that through advocacy, other work, and different things like that. But for some odd reason, you know, stuff just haven't been stuffing. And you know, life has been life, and so you know, my goal is to you know get this podcast self-sustaining. I am looking for grants. I am looking for sponsors and donors. I'm hoping to build up my social media for each and every one of the platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, my YouTube channel to be monetized, where I'm able to get paid through that. But I need y'all to help me by following, liking, sharing, you know, and supporting my pages because I can't get paid from them if I don't have the numbers. So if you're listening, if you truly support, please, you know, help me out. I do have a GoFundMe out for $2,000. I believe GoFundMe takes a percentage, which will leave me with $1,099 $100, which will pay for 2 years, year worth of subscriptions for each one of those. So I can not have to worry about the subscriptions. I can produce quality content for you guys for the next 2 years without that worry, and be able to focus on building some more sustainable funding. So please support my GoFundMe, support my channel, support my Facebook, you name it. Thank you guys for listening. This has been season 3, episode, what I say, 22? Episode 22, I must say. Yeah, episode 22 of Resilient Voices and Beyond. I truly appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a good morning, good night, good evening, good whenever you're listening to this. Talk to you guys soon.